Sometimes the hardest thing to notice is that you're struggling because your life still looks completely normal. You wake up, you get ready, you answer messages, you go to work or school, you laugh when someone says something funny, and then you do it all again tomorrow. Nothing dramatic happened. You didn't suddenly fall apart. You just slowly stopped feeling like yourself. And that's what makes this kind of pain so difficult to recognize. Because when you're still functioning, you start telling yourself, I'm getting things done, so what's wrong with me? But functioning and feeling okay aren't the same thing. Sometimes you're not really living your life. You're just completing it, one responsibility after another, until surviving the week becomes the only goal you have. And somewhere in that routine, you start carrying things you never talk about. A disappointment, a fear, something that hurt more than you admitted, a relationship that changed, a future you're worried about. None of it seems big enough to explain how you feel. So you tell yourself, it's fine. Other people have it worse. I'll deal with it later. And later keeps getting pushed further away. Eventually, you don't even remember the last time you asked yourself how you're actually doing. You just know you're tired. Not the kind of tired that disappears after sleeping. The kind where things you normally enjoy start feeling like effort. Messages feel exhausting. Plans feel like work, and even things you care about don't seem to matter as much. Then another thought appears. Why am I like this? And now you're not only carrying the pain, you're judging yourself for having it. You think you should be stronger, more grateful, more productive, more positive. So you hide it. You say, I'm just tired. And sometimes that's easier because you don't even know how to explain what's actually wrong. But here's what you might be forgetting. You don't have to completely fall apart before you're allowed to ask for support. You don't need a perfect explanation. You don't need to prove that your pain is serious enough. You can simply say, I haven't been feeling like myself lately. That's enough. You might not even know exactly what you need, and that's okay. Sometimes being understood isn't about receiving the perfect advice. It's simply knowing you don't have to carry everything alone anymore. Think about carrying something heavy for so long that you stop noticing the weight. You adjust, you adapt, and eventually you start believing this is just how life feels. But you don't have to put everything down at once. Maybe you just share one piece, one worry, one fear, one difficult day, one honest sentence. That's not weakness. It's letting someone see what you've been carrying. And if you've spent a long time protecting yourself, that can feel uncomfortable. Someone asks if you're okay, and you say you're fine. The conversation gets serious, and you change the subject. Not because you don't want people close. Maybe you've simply become good at hiding the parts of yourself you don't know how to explain. But protection can become isolation when you never turn it off. So start small. Tell someone you trust, I've been having a difficult time lately. I don't really know what I need. I just wanted someone to know. No perfect explanation, no apology. Just honesty. And if the person listening to someone say that, you don't always have to fix them. Sometimes you can just stay. Listen. Remind them they don't have to figure everything out tonight. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can give someone isn't a solution. It's the feeling that they're not carrying everything by themselves.
So if you've been struggling lately, don't measure your pain by how well you're still functioning. You can be productive and still be hurting. You can laugh and still be exhausted. You can love your life and still go through a period where everything feels heavier. So if you've been telling yourself, I should be able to handle this alone, maybe challenge that thought. You don't have to carry everything alone. You don't have to hand someone your entire life. Maybe just hand them one thing, one worry, one honest sentence, one difficult day. Because sometimes healing doesn't begin when everything finally gets better. Sometimes it begins when you stop pretending everything is fine. When you finally say, I'm having a hard time, and you let someone hear it. If you're feeling overwhelmed or unable to cope, reaching out to someone you trust or a mental health professional can be a good next step. You don't have to wait until you're completely broken to deserve support. You deserve it while you're still trying, while you're still getting up, while you're still showing up. Because maybe you're not failing at life. Maybe you've just been carrying too much, for too long, by yourself. And you don't have to keep proving how much you can carry. Sometimes strength isn't carrying more. Sometimes strength is finally letting someone help.